my fellow furniture friends, and welcome to another video. Today I want to show you what I did to this absolutely gorgeous and unique secretary desk. The design is really nice. I don't want to give away everything in the intro, so you only see the open part, and yeah, please join me in transforming this piece from an unloved and quite worn piece to a real little treasure. See you later and enjoy. As always, we start with having a good look at the piece. Taking a look from the distance, it doesn't look bad actually, but when you have a closer look, then you see what needs to be done, and that is a lot. Of course, there are some scratches, and then there is this block someone inserted to support the shelf. The leather cover has some issues going on, and I'm not quite sure yet what I will do with that one. When we take a look at the doors, you can see these huge cracks going all the way down. So there's one in the flap door and then a crack in each of the doors down here. They will need to be filled. And look at the finish. It chips so easily. No matter what I'm planning to do with this piece, the finish has to go. In the next step, I cleaned the whole piece. I just used water and dish soap and a nylon brush to really be able to get into all the corners. And then I went over with a wet rag just to get rid of all the soap residues. I was actually hoping that some of the chipping finish will come off by rubbing over with the nylon brush, but in the end it was not harsh enough, so perhaps I should have chosen a wire brush or something more a bit aggressive. It was another beautiful day, so I let the piece dry in the sun and then started to fill in the cracks. I used a 2-component wood filler which I pushed into the crack all the way down. It was messier than I expected it to be, which meant a bit more work for me in the end because of course I will have to sand all the excess down. Yeah, and here we go. I started to sand all the excess of the wood filler down. And when that was done, so when the filled-in crack was sanded flush with the surrounding surface, I had, of course, to sand all the rest of the piece. So go into all the details and hand sand down the old varnish. When you're working on a piece, you always want to make sure, no matter what you're planning to do, if you want to paint or to oil or to wax or whatever, you always have to make sure that there are no loose pieces, because the paint will not stick to your piece if you work on chipping finish, and it will look terrible if you use oil or wax on top of it. It is nicely broken down in the video, but I literally spent days hand sanding the piece to get into all the details and make sure all the chipping varnish is gone. But eventually I reached the moment when all the sanding was done and I could start to paint. In this piece I want to go for a wood color combination with the color on the corpus and in the low points of the details. The doors in the drawer front are all wood, but the corpus is veneer on particle board. The wood here is oak, and oak tends to cause bleed through, so I'm applying a coat of primer first, of blocking primer, before I start with the paint. The blocking primer had time to dry overnight and it was time for the first layer of paint. This time I'm using an all-in-one paint in the color sage green. After 2 layers of paint, and before I start with the next step, I took off the hinges and I labeled them to make sure the right hinge goes into the right spot when I'm done, and assemble it again. Until now I only sanded the low points of the details. Then I painted, and now I come in with the orbital sander to sand the high points. This way I can get rid of the excess paint and I have a super crisp line between the high and the low points. And I sanded the frame of the doors. That's where I want to keep the wood. I sanded it down to the bare wood, got rid of the old finish, and later I will oil it. I would have loved to keep the wood surface on the high points as well, but I had to fill in the crack that went all the way down, and there was the white line, and I had no means of covering that white line, so to imitate the color of the wood to make the line invisible. Plan B was to do one of my most favorite things, gold leaving. In case anyone has a tip how to make the whole affair less messy, I'm very grateful for that. I already vacuumed away the biggest flakes, but the glitter was everywhere. I didn't record it, but when most of the glitter was gone, I went over with a gold leaving varnish that came with the product to seal it in. And I did, of course, the exact same steps with the drawer front and the flap door of the secretary desk. And finally, I gave it 2 coats of a clear coat, which is PU enhanced for extra protection. Wow, I can't believe it. I'm done with the detailed elements and the corpus was easygoing. I scuff sanded the whole piece and then it got the blocking primer on and 2 coats of paint. So the exterior is done. Let's dedicate some time to the interior now. Especially this letter holder insert needed some TLC. First of all, I removed this little wooden block someone inserted from the inside to support the shelf. Looks terrible, it has to go, and I just used 2 small nails which I drove in from the outside to support the shelf. I don't want to paint the insert, but I want to add some golden accents, only on the front of these separators. I give the respective areas a quick scuff sand and then we do some more gold leaving. The gilding adhesive is on already, and now I cut the gold leaves into smaller sections, and actually that was breaking news for me. That is quite easy to cut the gold leaves, so you save a lot of material by doing so. The wood is really dry, so I decided to go with oil. This is lin oil, and I just brush it on. Then I take a piece of an old t-shirt and rub it in. Give it some time to soak in for like 20-30 minutes, and then I come back with another piece of cloth and buff the excess away. It does rejuvenate the wood and gives it a nice glow, and the color is intensified, so it really makes a huge effect. Here you have a pre-after comparison, a huge difference, isn't it? The rest of the interior got the same oil treatment. On the doors, I used the oil as well on the parts where the wood is not covered, painted or protected until now. Here is a side-by-side comparison, left side oil, right side raw. And here is still a step I did in between. The felt cover of the bearing surfaces of the flap door was really old. I was about to say rotten, not that bad, but it really needed to be renewed. But the glue was still quite strong. Yeah, it came off eventually, and then with the help of a 80 grit sanding paper, I just got rid of all the remainings of the felt in the glue. A nice layer of glue on, and then I glued it onto the felt, let it dry for a bit, and cut the felt with a carpenter knife. And when it had dried, I could slide the glider back in and attach it to the guiding metal, I would call it. I had to remove the backing a bit for that, but it's totally worth to do that job. The interior now looks much better, and it's time for the final touches on the exterior. The paint finish just looks too new, and I want to give it a bit of aging, and this time I use some black wax. In the previous video I did a black wash to age the piece, and this time I tried the black wax all over the piece to give it a bit of an aged look. I think I actually like the black wax better. It's not so messy like a black wash. You want to just add a layer of the black wax, give it like a few minutes before you wipe the excess away with a cloth, and it's done. I did it on the whole piece, on the corpus and on the doors, and especially on the doors with the details. It gives a lot of depth and a whole new dimension. Okay, so now it's almost done. I just want to do a few little steps. Especially I want to line the drawers with the green felt, which I used for the gliders as well. Then I gold leafed some simple doorknobs because I did not want to reuse the old ones again. And finally it was time to assemble the piece. Drill the holes for the new knobs, and of course add the new knobs. Here we are again. This piece is done and this video is done, and it's gorgeous. I think it's gorgeous. I'm super happy how it turned out, and it already found a new owner and a new home, and the new owner is really happy with it as well, so that makes the work double worth it. And yeah, I will have now some more pictures for you, some staging pictures to see the whole piece. And I really hope you enjoyed the work and you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment and subscribe. There will be more videos coming, and until the next time, see you, bye bye and bis bald.